It's my pleasure to invite you for the keynote address, ma'am.
Thank you so much for this invitation in this international symposium of this valedictory session. So, after thought-provoking expressions by earlier two experts, the guest of honors for this session, on the issues with their administrative, academic, and practical experiences, Mr. Ranjan Chatterjee and Madam Gayatri Randhawa. They both have raised many issues related to the topic chosen for discussion and deliberation, and also suggested the ways to deal with. The topic is very relevant in terms of the environmental degradation and destruction we are all facing today. And the important point about this degradation and destruction is that it is we who are responsible for that. Madam Randhawa also said that we are also contributing towards. You know that in the zoo at Lusaka in Zambia, there is a cage where a notice reads the words most dangerous animal. And inside the cage, you will find that there is no animal, but a big size mirror is there. And when you enter that cage, you will see yourself. And the notice reads the dangerous animal, most dangerous animal of the world. So although this is the reality of the present life and situation in almost all aspects of life, but our environment is most affected. This notice also signifies that our planet faces the most potential threat from mankind rather from any other animals. So basically, it's a man who thinks that Earth is his property and he can dominate in any way he likes. And by eroding our resources to fulfill the selfish needs, almost we all have become dangerous to one another. And this notice basically or actually tries to put the light on the fact that we humans are most destructive creatures present on the earth. Now coming to the main theme of this symposium, which speaks about the rethinking the environmental sustainability in modern era. As the earlier speakers also told about that really there is a need to rethink about, a need to assess what we have done earlier, what we are doing to our nature, Earth, this planet. The first point, what is sustainability or the idea of sustainability and what is the need to rethink or is there any need to rethink? So sustainability, as we all know in simple words, as it was there in the Brundtland conference, that is something like meeting of our own needs without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. And the main principle of sustainability of life on this planet are, we all know, solar energy. That is an important component of the sustainability. It sustains our energy sources and natural resources. The second being the biodiversity, which is also very important because it is vital to a healthy environment. And the human-made environment is the loss of biodiversity, we all know. So maintenance of biodiversity is very crucial to the sustainability, yet we are constantly reducing it at an ever-increasing rate. And the third one is the nutrient cycling. That is all about the circulation of the chemicals and the earth's natural resources like carbon, water, nitrogen, sulfur, whatever, from the environment through organism and man-made systems, and then back to environment. So each of these interacts with one another in the earth system to sustain our life. In addition to natural resources, we also need social and economic resources rightly told by Mr. Ranjan Chatterjee ji about this. Further, depopulation of the rural areas and small towns is also indirectly affected. So environment, particularly air, water, pollution or waste production and resource consumption. Further, if we see the industrialization of agriculture, then often supports the genetic modification or modified crops, GM crops, as the best solution to sustainable to feed our growing world population or the population as we are having the explosion in our country also. But there is also a serious threat to the environment, and agroecological farming methods are supported for this. So the main point is, how do we understand ourselves and our connections to the local and global societies in the light of new technologies, socioeconomic and political realities, and above all, their deep impact on the environmental challenges, which are changing the environment as a whole. And this all brings to my mind some questions like, how could we rethink our conceptual understanding of environmental sustainability? What are the major challenges in the world today for sustainable development? Whether sustainable development needs a systematic approach for current and future challenges for human development as a whole, or do we think to change a meaningful and a useful definition of sustainable development for our changing world, changing technologically, changing scientifically, changing economically, and so on? And I suppose that in this 2 days international symposium, these issues must have been deliberated and discussed by the delegates and the panelists. However, as per the Global Sustainable Development Report, which was prepared by an independent group of scientists in 2019, on the demand of the United Nations member states, they decided in its 2016 high-level political forum for sustainable development. The report that is Future is Law, Science for Achieving Sustainable Development. So laws are there. Science that has to develop again, that has to control the things, give some ideas to deal with the modern era's problem. This report reflects the universal, indivisible, and integrated nature of the 2030 Agenda of Sustainable Development also. We all know the 17 goals of the Sustainable Development Goals, which are to be achieved by 2030, which includes no poverty, eradication of the poverty or elimination of the poverty, so that the families may survive, there may be increase in the prosperity, the children may be healthy. Zero hunger, that is one of the goal, with the purpose of immunization, nutrition, that will result in healthier family, and it will also happen by erasing the hunger, to establish the good health for the well-being of the healthy lives of all, and to provide quality education so that the learning may be improved, and that may also increase the educational attainment of the children, enforcement of the gender equality, because we all know that the relation of the women with the environment is very long. Clean water and sanitization, that is also one of the goals that has to provide the opportunity for sanitation and for the cleaning, washing, and that will be resulting into less disease, so that improvement in the clean water and sanitation is also one of the goals. Affordable, clean energy, that is one of the goals. And we see that clean energy brings newer and cleaner and more sustainable technology for developing countries. Health system that includes environment also, to create some decent work for the economic growth, because that is also affecting the environment. As I just told you, the depopulation from the rural areas to the urban areas, from the semi-urban areas to the urban areas to the metro cities. So these are few of the goals which are targeted towards the improvement of the environment, to sustain the environment, whether it is related to organize the climate action, whether it is related to increase in the industry innovation and infrastructure at all the levels, or advanced life on land or below the water, develop the life below the water. So these are the goals which seems that they can be seen not only as an effort to enhance the global progress in achieving sustainable development, but also to rethink the notion of sustainable development, to rethink the sustainable development goals as a navigation principle, a political and social ideal of great importance in the modern era in global context. The report of this 2019 also seeks to strengthen the science policy interface as an evidence-based instrument to support policy makers and other stakeholders in the implementation of these 2030 SDGs across the social, economic, and environmental dimensions of sustainable development. So I think that as also suggested by Chatterjee, Mr. Chatterjee, a model for socioeconomic, technological, ecological system need to be developed at world level that can look into the regional inventory of material in atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, biosphere, that can identify inputs and outputs, and also describe the quantify and cycling and recycling of materials in the system, that can provide solutions in recycling the heat of data centers as technological operations, and for e-waste, and for many more imbalances in the atmosphere because of the use of the technology. And of course, there is a need to rethink on all these issues, which are the result of modern technological era. We need to behave as the savers of this planet, not as the destroyers. We call this planet as Mother Earth, as our mother. So we should protect. And finally, as citizen, we should follow our fundamental duty given in the Constitution of India, the supreme law of the land, under Article 51A, subclause Z, which speaks about or confers a duty on every citizen to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, wildlife, and also to have compassion for living creatures. This is one of the fundamental duties. We always talk about our rights, but if we will perform our duties, rights will follow us. This is what Mahatma Gandhi said once. And we forget to perform our duty. If we perform our duty, if we think that we have to manage the things, if we think that we have to perform these duties, then of course we will get a good environment around us. Internationally, we all know we have many instruments to protect our environment. And nationally, we have plethora of laws to control different type of the pollutions, whether it be air pollution, water pollution, noise pollution, vehicular pollution, and so on. Our judiciary is also in its expansive interpretation included pollution-free environment as a fundamental right to life, though it's not given as a separate fundamental right in the chapter of fundamental rights in the Constitution of India. But this has been interpreted by the Supreme Court under Article 21 as right to life includes a pollution-free environment. Still, we are facing pollution because of our own contribution in that. Use of plastic, as Madam has rightly told. Then why we are not thinking about the environment? It's the time to rethink what we are doing, whether we are, or we can transfer to our future generations what we received from the previous generation, the very definition of the sustainable development. If we cannot follow that definition, if we cannot follow that idea of sustainable development, what we are doing, what as a citizen of the country we are doing, Development is good, but balanced environment is very necessary. So for that, we need to rethink about the definition of sustainable development by our own selves. We have to contribute towards the environment. We have to contribute a pollution-free environment for our future generations. And that is not for the future only, but for ourselves also. What we have witnessed during this COVID period, the amount of oxygen was not made available to the person concerned, and they died due to that. So if we would have not denuded our forests, then whether the situation would have been the same? No, it would not be. So this is the time to think, and I must appreciate and congratulate the organizers for choosing a theme which requires a very, the discussion and deliberation on each and every aspect of the environment through which we are having to a sustainable development. And without taking much time, I thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity, first for listening to all the guests of honors who were experts in their field. They have the practical experience in their field, and they could quote what they have seen in their first-hand knowledge. Thanks to all for patience hearing once again.
Thank you so much, ma'am.